Hello, my geniuses. Welcome to another biochemistry lecture series. It's your great science user Lorenzo. Today we'll be dissecting and breaking what lipolysis. So if you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on the post notification button so that anytime I drop any video, you'll be sure to be notified. So if you want a video to be made for you, drop it down in the comment section. When I go to it, I'll make that video for you. So let us jump right into the video. So in our former video, we talk about what lipogenesis, which is the formation of TAG. So in a well-fed state, what happens? Our food are stored as triglyceride in the liver. Are you getting that? So in the liver, our food is stored, our fatty food is stored there. So when it's stored in the liver, what happens? During fasting and strenuous exercise, those lipid food stored as TAG are broken down to fatty acid and glycerol. The fatty acid undergo beta oxidation to form ATP, while the glycerol does what? Either undergo gluconeogenesis to form what? Glucose, or undergo glycolysis to also make what? ATP. So now in lipolysis, we have the lipase enzyme. The lipase enzyme works to activate what? Lipolysis. So how does it do? We have three forms of lipase enzyme. We have the the hormone-sensitive lipase, we have the lipoprotein lipase, and we also have the pancreatic lipase. So very, very important. So firstly, in the first stage of digestion, we have the pancreatic lipase. So the pancreatic lipase is released alongside the pancreatic juice. So when it's released in the pancreatic juice, what does it happen? It's what binds to what we call colipase. So when it binds to colipase, it breaks down the TAG to form what? 3 moles of fatty acid and what? Glycerol. So the 3 moles of fatty acid and glycerol diffuse through the what? Enterocytes, through the intestinal mucosa into the enterocyte. In the enterocyte, what happens? They are recoupled back to what? TAG. So when they diffuse through the enterocyte, they are now recoupled back as what? TAG and incorporated into the chylomicron. So the chylomicrons passes through the lymphatic system into the blood. So that is how the pancreatic lipase breaks down what? TAG firstly. So the second one is what? Lipoprotein lipase. So what happens here? So in the bloodstream, what happens? The HDL, which is high density lipoprotein, gives the chylomicrons and also VLDL, they give them what? 2 apoproteins, which is apoprotein E and apoprotein C2. So now what happens? So the chylomicrons and VLDL binds to the lipoprotein receptor using lipoprotein lipase receptor using what? Apo C2. So when they bind using apo C2, what happens? They also break TAG. So when they break TAG, the TAG is broken down into 3 moles of fatty acid and the glycerol, which is recoupled back in the adipocyte. Simple. So now we have talked about the pancreatic lipase and we have talked about the lipoprotein lipase receptor in the blood vessel. So these two things do the same thing, but for the enterocyte, they are recoupled back and incorporated into the chylomicrons. Why in the bloodstream they bind using apo C2 in the what? Lipoprotein lipase receptor on the blood vessel, and they are recoupled back as TAG in the adipocyte. Now the last one is the what? Hormone-sensitive lipase. So what happens now during fasting stage or fasting strenuous exercise? What happens? Glucagon and epi is released. So when they are released, they bind to what? 7 transmembranous receptor, which is a G stimulatory receptor of G coupled protein family. So what happens when they bind to the GS receptor? What happens? They stimulate adenine cyclase. So when they stimulate adenine cyclase stimulate what? Cyclic AMP by turning ATP towards cyclic AMP. So when they form cyclic AMP, what happens? Cyclic AMP convert protein kinase B to protein kinase A. So when you form protein kinase A, what happens? The protein kinase A do what? Stimulate what? 2 enzymes, which is perilipin and what? Hormone-sensitive lipase. Don't forget perilipin and hormone-sensitive lipase. So what does perilipin do? So perilipin will stimulate what? Acid triacid glycerol lipase. Acid triacid glycerol lipase. The acid triacid glycerol lipase break down TAG to what? DAG. Don't forget. So when you break down triacid glycerol to diacid glycerol, you remove what? 1 fatty acid. Don't forget. So now when you form DAG, what happens? Hormone-sensitive lipase, which is the rate limiting enzyme, break down what? DAG and release the second fatty acid to form what? MAG. Don't forget, which is monoacyl glycerol. So the last one, which is what? Monoacyl glycerol lipase, break down what? The last and remove the last fatty acid to form what? 3 moles of fatty acid and glycerol. So what happens? The fatty acids are insoluble in the blood, so they cannot pass to the blood. So they need a carrier, which is what? Albumin. So albumin carries them through the blood for the purpose of what? Beta oxidation. So why the glycerol does the same thing, either undergo gluconeogenesis or undergo glycolysis for formation of what? ATP. So it's very, very easy. So hope it makes sense to you.